Hey there, it's Juju, and it's day 130 of this administration. And today I'm going to be talking about deportations and immigrants, and some of the facts that I've just done a quick fact check on, because there is such an anti-immigrant sense in this country. I believe that 50% of Americans feel like everyone who's undocumented should be deported, and I think that where that view comes from is a belief in the unfairness of people being here undocumented, and that the immigration system is broken, which I agree. The immigration system is broken and it needs to be fixed, but I think it needs to be fixed through documentation, not deportation. So, first of all, one of the arguments you hear against immigrants is that they don't pay taxes, which is not true. They pay taxes, and I checked this from several sources. I'm not an expert, but I can do a little fact checking. And if you find real facts that are different, I'd be interested in looking at the studies. So you could put those links into the comments. But undocumented people paid $97 billion in taxes in 2022, and that is a higher tax rate than 5 of the richest persons in America, and 55 of the top corporations are paying a lower tax rate than our undocumented immigrants, who are paying taxes but can't reap a lot of the benefits. Another thing right now, you're going to be hearing about them cutting Medicaid to undocumented immigrants. And, undocumented immigrants are not eligible for Medicaid except in emergency situations. So if they've cut off a hand or if they're dying, we do allow them, just like with anyone else. You're going to be able to get that emergency care, but they're not, eligible for Medicaid, except in 14 states. And that's a state decision, not a federal decision. So I know so many people are so concerned about states' rights. So the federal government is trying to force those states to comply with their policies. But that is just wrong. And, I learned that a young man was taken in Watsonville, which is close to where I live, by the ICE agents individually. I talked to someone who knows his family, works with his sister. This is not he has no criminal record. And first of all, people talk about immigrants as criminals. Note that being undocumented in America is not a crime. It's a civil offense, a civil violation, but it is not a crime. And there's so much fear about immigrants causing all of this crime. And actually the rate of, immigrants causing crime is very low. They're actually much more law-abiding than U.S. citizens, because U.S. citizens have a lot of protections, and these people are vulnerable. They're here, they're working hard, they're your neighbor. They've been here for 20 years, possibly 15 years, working, paying taxes. And we want to have ICE agents with black masks swarming off of the streets, taking, screaming women with a newborn baby. If you haven't seen the videos of what's happening with ICE, and I worry about the ICE agents, because this is affecting their soul. Just like working in prison guards have the same rate of PTSD as combat veterans. So more incarceration, and Trump wants to spend $45 billion on detention center and mainly going to private prisons. I spend a lot of time in prisons. That's not where we need to be spending our money. Let's just get these people who have been here, who have been paying taxes, who are law-abiding citizens, let's get them the documentation that they need and a path to citizenship, rather than all of this cruelty and hatred. And I am so sorry for this young man in Watsonville. And We do need to fix the immigration system, but fix it through documentation and not deportation and cruelty. Because even if they are deported, that could mean that you're in like this prison environment. You're not a criminal. You know, if you're just undocumented, you're not a criminal, which means that you are not eligible for jail. And yet we put people in these systems where there's no accountability. We saw that with the Canadian actress who was picked up and she was trying to do the right thing. And she was able to shine a light on some of the conditions that are happening. So really think about your heart when you think about, immigration and our hardworking immigrants who I support. I support giving them a path to citizenship. So this is Juju, unedited, unscripted, unfiltered. Lead with love. Do a little fact checking, and tell me if I'm wrong. All right. Have a great day.